G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome to something really, really special. We're seeing an absolute metric arse ton of battle rating changes recently, and with 2 posts now discussing battle rating changes, it looks like War Thunder and Gaijin are taking on a fair bit of feedback, and this is the best thing that I've seen in a long, long time. This gives me a lot of confidence, and these new battle rating changes that have come through, I have been sent a third iteration of the battle rating changes. And honestly, these make me really, really happy. I'm really stoked by these battle rating changes. I can't believe they're actually happening. Some of them are questionable, but the majority of them are by far fine or awesome. So, without further ado, let's go through the new ones. So recently, Gaijin have said that they're going to increase the battle rating spread, or the battle rating max one, to 10.3. And you might think, it's not a big change, it's not big, it's blah blah blah, bad Gaijin, not doing enough. But let's consider it in 2 ways. The way I like to look at an argument is you look at it from their perspective first, and you see maybe what are they thinking, where are they coming from, what logic, if any, they're using. And it seems like what Gaijin wants to do is they want to keep a variety and a high number or a higher concentration of players at top tier. And so what they need to do there is have a decent amount of vehicles, because they personally believe that, say for example, only F86 F2 versus only MiG-17 is a bad thing. And they want to have multiple vehicles at higher tiers or at a single battle rating, which is fine. I understand that, but sometimes I just want to see something as simple as MiG-19 versus F100. And when that was introduced to the game, honestly, I had a lot of fun, and that's kind of where I stand on that. But for Gaijin, they like having, the Super Mistairs in there, and the F86Ds or F86Ks, the Shenyang F5, the MiG-17AS. They like the Hunter F6 as well thrown in there with some MiG-21 and some F4 fan. You get the idea. They like variety, and this is really, really apparent at top tier. Top tier quite literally has everything down from the MBT-70 all the way up to the Ariete and the Leclerc, and for fuck's sake, the 2A5, which is a little bit out of its league. But what we're seeing now is the T-80U, the ADATS, the Leclerc, the Ariete PSO, that is the new Ariete, the 2A5, the regular C1 Ariete, the M1A1, and the Charlie 2 all going to 10.3. Now, I don't think the Charlie 2 really belongs there because, let's face it, it's not that great, and I don't really see it being nearly as competitive as something as, I guess, the 2A5. The 2A5 I've actually played a decent amount of, and I think it's really strong, but the Challenger 2, whilst I really enjoy it, it's quite limiting. And so perhaps giving it better combat abilities makes up for that sort of lack of its ability to exist in the meta as a whole. It's not a very well-rounded vehicle, and so, maybe making it a little bit stronger. Kind of like, again, I like to relate balance when it comes to War Thunder to Rainbow Six, because that's another game that I know quite well. But for example, you give Lion, who has a really, really strong ability, a really crappy gun, the V308, which, it has a 50-round mag, but the rate of fire is really slow. And so that more than makes up for it. It's also classed as an LMG, and so the ADS time is a bit less. So by by extension, I guess, with War Thunder, if a tank doesn't fit the meta as such, so for example, the 2A5 at the moment does fit the meta. The T-80U also fits the meta, and the M1A1, whilst from what I'm told, it is a well-rounded tank. These 3 tanks seem to be the ones that fit the meta the most, and everything with crappy hull armor like the Challenger 2 doesn't, because you do have to fight out in the open sometimes, and you do have to take hits to your front plate, which the Challenger 2 literally has less than 100 millimeters on the lower front plate. So the Challenger 2 could probably stay at 10.0. But, you know what? I'm happy to make that concession when in the helicopters, yes, that's right, helicopters and planes, we're going to see some absolute crackers. It's great. It is an absolute monster. well, it's so good. It's like fantastic. I can't get over it, honestly. This set of changes has to be the best that I've seen in a very long time. MiG-21, 10.3. J-72, 10.3. MiG-19S, 10.3. MiG-19PT, 10.3. Mitsubishi T2, yes, that's right, 10.3. F4 Phantom, 10.3. Hunter F6 is going up along with the F100D, and they're going to 10.0. The UH-1C, yes, that's correct. The UH-1C, the premium one with the gun pod turrets, is going from 9.7 down to 9.3. This means that it will only see Big Tungus. Well, it'll see Big Tungus at 10.0, but you'll only see the ADATs at, that's right, 10.3. This is the start of some really, really good changes. We're also seeing the Mi-24A and the Alouette 3 go down to 9.0. Now, the Mi-24A has short-range missiles. It's a bit fat. It's got a crappy turret gun. It doesn't have that much combat capability, and so I'm willing to let that go through. The Alouette 3 is pretty garbage. It's almost... Well, honestly, I would put it on par with the Alouette 2 and the Scout and the Wasp, I think they are. But you know what? 9.0 is a good start. It's fine there. An important one, the Shenyang F5, 9.3. This is going to be the perfect battle rating for it because it will face the Cougar, which has good energy retention, which can outturn it, has more air-to-air missiles and arguably better. And the Shenyang has, the energy retention, it has the like super high-speed turning and the, climb rate. And the afterburner, of course. Who can forget? But Shenyang F5, 9.3, fantastic change. F-86A5, now that the top is being moved up, I don't really see a need for the A5 to go to 8.7 because it is quite literally better than the MiG-15 bis. It was recently, well, not recently, maybe 2 years ago, all of the Sabres were buffed generally. They had slightly better energy retention given to them, and so it makes the F-86s in general, all of them, really, really good. The F-86A5 can actually, in a horizontal, outturn a MiG-15 bis because of those wing slats. The only problem the A5 gets is its combat speed in general is a little bit lower, maybe 200 kph lower than the average at 9.0, which makes it sort of like a Venom. So if you play the A5 like a Venom, you actually, you have a bit of success there. I don't think it does its job quite as poorly as the Venom, though, in a 9.0, 10.0 matchmaker. So I do think it should be at 9.0, but I'm willing to let this slide because the A5, I think there will be some decent competition for the A5 at 8.7. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's really, really good. That at least it's getting some breathing room. The only battle ratings that I sort of don't really agree with are the G91Rs. All three of them, the 1, 3, and 4, are going to 8.7. I don't really agree with them. Well, I've seen what the G91R can do. Granted, I haven't played it, but a lot of people have told me, especially reputable jet pilots, that it accelerates up to 1,000 kph better than a Hunter. Beyond 1,000 kph is where it struggles, but up to 1,000 kph, it exceeds all three of them. And so I don't think they should be at the same battle rating as the MiG-15 bis, which does accelerate, but it doesn't turn as well, it doesn't roll as well, it retains about the same amount of energy, and it doesn't nearly have the ordnance options. So I don't see the G91Rs as 8.7 worthy. I definitely see them as 9.0 worthy, and considering that the most they'll fight are the F100s and the Hunter F6, I really don't see that as a big deal. Of course, they'll fight the F-86K as well, but I feel like they can more than deal with that sort of thing. I think they should stay at 9.0, and, that's the general idea of the G91s. At 9.0, or in a full up tier, or at their tier as such, they're more of a support plane, they're more of a light fighter, which is, what they were designed for. And when they're down tier, they are the spearhead. They are literally unstoppable. A competent G91 pre-pilot, when it was down at 8.0, could literally get an ace every single game, even though he had only something like 1,200 or 1,400 rounds between 450 cals. it's more than doable with such a good plane because the plane performs really well, and I don't really see a need for it to sit at 8.7. Aside from that, we have a couple of really important battle rating changes. The FJs, both FJs are going to 8.7. Fantastic change, much needed, and I'm pretty sure every War Thunder YouTuber who covers jets has talked about the FJ4 being a crap plane. Every other YouTuber that I know who has at least flown the FJ4 says it's painful and they want to kill themselves. So 8.7 is probably a better battle rating for it. Not only that, but it does have good ordnance options and will go well with an 8.7 lineup. The H-34 for France. This is not the H-34 that we just got with the bullpup. This is the H-34 that sits in the French tree and has like one SS-11. It's going to 8.3, and I think that's really, really necessary. The plane is absolute utter garbage, and it performs like a bus. It flies awfully. It's got minimal ordnance. It's got pretty lackluster guns. I just generally don't think it should have been at 9.0. It's no way comparable to any of the other 9.0 helis. So 8.3 is decent for it. If you see it in your 7.3s, don't worry. You can probably gun it down. I wouldn't worry about it in the slightest. The Wasp and the Scout are both going to 8.7, and this is a really good change as well, because they're both not 9.0 worthy. They do not deserve to see the SAMs at all. They just do not have the range. The SS-11s, they're not great missiles at that tier. They start to lose their penetration as well, their penetration ability. They don't really see armor that they can regularly penetrate from the front. Of course, you can always take the top, but at the same time, giving these helicopters a bit more breathing room as well from the other ones, from the 9.0s and the 9.7s, and the 10.0s especially, is more than welcome. And honestly, you can probably shoot these down with APCs, so I wouldn't worry too much. The UH-1B is also going down to 8.7, as well as both the Alouettes and the Mi-4 AV. It's amazing. It's fantastic. These vehicles all have really, really short distances, short ranges on their missiles. Maximum 4 kilometers, 3 kilometers for some of them, and some of them have just very, very poor ordnance options, especially stock. And so giving them a little bit more breathing room is really good, and it also, makes them prime targets for those cheeky SPAA. SPAA have a range of about 3.5 kilometers, I think, something like that. And so you're not going to have many problems shooting them down. It also, requires a little bit of use of the noggin, and I don't see it as a bad thing overall. I really, really hope that it's going to be great. I can just see it. It's going to be good fun. The only other changes that I would like to note, or that I think are interesting, are a bunch of allied bombers. You might be thinking, well, I guess it's all that squatting with Fly Daily that's made you love the bombers all of a sudden. But no. The bombers, honestly, they don't get enough love. And a lot of them, especially spading these bombers, I really did not have an enjoyable time. Bomber battle ratings in general are going down across the board. The B-17G, 5.7. The Lancasters, both of them are going to 5.3. The Sterlings are going to 5.0 and 4.7. The PB-4Ys, 5.3. And the B-17s are going down one notch in battle rating. So the B-17E late is 5.3, and the B-17E regular is 5.0. Again, these are some really good changes. These are some of the changes that we've needed for a long time, and it's fantastic that Gaijin is actually addressing these. The final change that I would like to mention is the ME-264. This plane is going up to 4.3, and I honestly think that it should be at 4.7 and then have the repair costs lowered quite drastically. I think even 5.0 with a very low repair cost would put it somewhere on par with the B-17 because its performance is quite strong. Its guns underneath the fuselage are not that great. It does have a decent tail gunner, but for me it performs almost like a Heinkel 177, except a little bit faster and a little bit better performing with a similar bomb load. I don't see the 264 being at that sort of mid-tier 3 level. I see it more as a tier 4 bomber in terms of its capabilities. I think it's a good start, but maybe we'll see a gradual increase and then the repair cost being dropped and then another gradual increase and then the repair cost being dropped further. But for the most part, I can't really say many bad things about these battle rating changes. I think they're awesome across the board. I think there's not a whole lot negative to say about them. The helicopters are going down. There'll be food for the Gepard, for the Type 87, for the Marksman, for the Sergeant York, you name it. It'll be great. You'll have things to shoot at. And the lineups at these tiers are going to be a lot more well-rounded. You want your 8-7 lineup? Some more CAS? There you go, helicopter. It also gives you a reason to use your SPAA. Gives you a reason to use your IFVs. It's perfect. I think it is really, really strong. And Gaijin are doing a fantastic job with this. Again, if you do want to check out the actual sheet itself, was linked to me by someone who has some connections with Gaijin, so I doubt that they're just going to make it up. But, it'll be funny if they do. But I trust him. But regardless, these changes demonstrate that Gaijin listens. They do actually listen. They just don't like it when you scream in their face. So, what do we learn? Don't scream in Gaijin's face. When they ask for some feedback, give them lots of it. You need to go onto the forums and make your voice heard, because they will go through that, and as long as you don't say, yeah, fuck you, Gaijin, they'll listen. Lo and behold, everything that I have asked for and suggested has been adjusted, except the Tunguska. I think the Tunguska should be 10.3. But apart from that, we have, across the board, fantastic changes. Oh, and I'd also like to mention that the premiums aren't going up, which is a little bit funny, but at the same time, I don't really blame them, because they see on their statistics that the tanks don't do well because shit players play them. But at the same time, if you have a decent player playing these vehicles, they'll do exceedingly well and show the plane for its, or the tank for its true capabilities. Regardless, I really like all of these changes, except maybe the G91Rs and the G91 Pre not going back to 8.3, because I think that's where it belongs. But for the most part, I really like these. Let me know what you think about them as well. And once they go live to the, once the dev blog is made, do let Gaijin know what you think about them. It is really, really important. Go to the forums, make sure you log in, you make your voice heard, you like or, discuss some of the comments that you see that, maybe you agree with, or maybe have a discussion with people who you might not necessarily agree with. Remember also to look at the big picture, not just a single vehicle or a single set of vehicles, but a whole nation, a whole lineup, everything like that needs to be looked at. But for the most part, I'm really, really pleased with this. I think it's great, and I think the community should be really happy with these as well. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.